paying his driver for liability coverage. With this machine I'm blaming, his whole team live panic. Jack froze up and then died. Now you seen Titanic?
Bow to the neck. I mute his audio. Your youngest son, bow to the chest. Reduce his cardio, then bow to take your princess from you. Super Mario,
Basically, I'm coming at him. He's strapped in, I smash in. Both his hands with a hammer. How he gonna use his strapped in?
Hello. Welcome back to Speaker Language Show. We have a special guest, JSmo, and we're about to do the next category, which is one of our favorite categories, a category that we feel like is very integral when it comes to battle rap. Top 5 anglers, right? And as we did in our other episodes, we're going to start off with our honorable mentions.
As we do with our other episodes too. These are all-time rankings, so if you haven't checked out the previous ones where we gave the disclaimer, this is not based off of the top 5 most recent anglers. So if you see someone that you feel has been cooking up lately, no disrespect to them, but this is an all-time list taking full careers.
Absolutely. At the first honorable mention we have is none other than Couture. Now, you guys may think like, well, why is Couture an honorable mention? Because like, doesn't she only do like, antics and props and stuff like that? Yes, but that kind of appeals to angling to a degree because she's touching on a certain topic. And when you think about her ability to really break down her opponent through and again, in terms of females, she's one of the first few females to actually use props and angles and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people say that's gimmicky, but if you really think about it, it's a risk. And for her to more often than not land those risks more often than not land them is a good thing. And outside of the antics, she still does a great job of breaking down her opponent and making them look foolish in battles and stuff like that. She probably has one of the biggest female body bags of all time against Miss Pac, and that's strictly off of she didn't outbar Miss Pac. Not to say she did have bars, but she literally broke her down. She literally broke her down and made her not want to battle again, or at least not battle in the public eye. So we have to give kudos to Couture as an angler. Next honorable mention is none other than Real Deal. We honestly kind of think that Real Deal is obviously one of the more underrated anglers in the game. He's literally been able to stand the test of time with his ability to break down battlers and stuff like that. While he may not be the most bar heavy guy, he still has the bars and the approach to break down his opponent. And that's one of the reasons why he's able to hold on to the King of the Dot chain for 4 or 5 defenses. So salute to Real Deal. Next honorable mention, this may be controversial to some people, but we're going to go with Loso. Loso is one of the best anglers in the game right now. Had one of the best angles of last year with his second round against Vixen. But in comparison to his counterparts that's in the top 5 and some of the other honorable mentions, his body of work is not that expansive. He's only really been involved in the game for about, if we're being generous, a 6 to 6 year stretch, which in the grand scheme of things is a good amount of time. But in terms of the amount of battles, there's a lot more body of work from these other people that we're going to talk about. So Loso gets an honorable mention. The next honorable mention is none other than Averb. Averb is always kind of like a polarizing figure in battle rap for good reasons, for bad reasons. But one thing that we can say is that he does know how to break down his opponents. Has one of the best 3rd round angles of all time against Hitman. I feel like he honestly had one of the better angles against Disaster in that battle. I thought he had a really good angle against Geechee. He's one of those guys that made angling a prominent thing in battle rap, knowing how to break down your opponent. Not just being bar heavy, even though I know he's pretty much put in that boat of a bar heavy guy back then, but he did know how to break down his opponent as well. So we give him a shout out for honorable mention. Another honorable mention that might be a little bit controversial, Murda Mook. He is if there was a guy, like we said, Chilla Jones is the godfather of scheming. We said that Conceited was the godfather of punching. Murder Mook probably is the godfather of angling and knowing how to break down your opponent. And a lot of the best anglers would say that like they studied Mook and like his style of rapping and battling as a means to kind of like bring up and enhance their style. And that's because like he was so proficient in breaking down his opponent. Now, the thing that keeps him from moving up the list is obviously the body of work once again. And, some people may not feel like the angles are all that appealing, but I do think that like, even like his influence, right, for the game and just being the foundational piece of angling is very important. And then the last honorable mention that we have for angling is none other than Ilmac. We already talked about how underrated he is as a battler all time, but we talked about approaches and stuff like that. Again, we can reference his A-Ward battle, where in the A-Ward battle he was able to dismantle him, right? Grade A character assassination, ideology assassination. Even in the JC battle, he made JC look foolish with some of the angles that he had in terms of him reaching for the Lux battle and stuff like that. And I can name countless other approaches, whether it's the Chilla Jones battle, whether it's the DNA battle. So he's really good at finding approaches to make his opponents look different or look foolish. So shout out to Ilmac. And now we're going to get into the top 5 anglers. At number 5, we have none other than Pat Stay. So where do you want to start? Like, I feel like the thing that puts Pat Stay at, number 5, right, is, again, we talked about making your opponent look foolish. I feel like if there's anybody in battle rap that consistently make their opponent look foolish, it's Pat Stay. Or at least different. You know what I'm saying? His approaches are not always like demeaning his opponent, but it could just be making light of a situation. Like, look at the Averb battle. Like the Averb battle where he's talking about obviously the situation that Averb went through when he was a kid or whatever. He's just like, yo, your babysitter did what to you? And you're upset? Like just small stuff like that, or even like the Danny Meyer situation with the kids and stuff like that. Or he told Suge, he said, well, if I do crack, that may be something you want to look into. like small stuff like that. So his ability to counterwrite, have certain approaches for certain people, being able to break down certain people in battles and stuff like that, namely the Hollow battle, namely the Sharon battle, stuff like that. Like, I feel like when the pressure's on, he knows how to come up with organic and fresh angles and approaches to make his opponent look weird or look different. So what do you have to say about Pat Stay?
I think you touched on it great, particularly using comedy in his counter writing,
Yes.
kind of to belittle a guy, and more importantly, and I think it kind of is all symbolized great in one of his slogans, where it's like, you got this and this, bro. Look at you go.
Yeah.
And it's funny in a sport where clearly everyone's trying, even Pat's trying. We're all giving effort, we're battling, and I say we as a battler, but point still stands where everyone's giving effort, but he kind of makes you look like you're really being a tryhard right now. And it's a funny way. It's something you really in a comedic way that you got to spin. It just really is a fantastic counter writer. Also prepares for certain situations. Obviously, his second round versus Rock, which is a battle that Rock had an amazing second round. But one reason that I think Pat clearly won the battle is his second round is that while Rock had a very punch heavy round, he was able to kind of the peak of the almost fight angle really in real time, and amplified it and acted on that.
Situational awareness for sure.
That takes pacing, being adaptable, and that takes counter writing. Very similar to someone that didn't make the list, but if you look at Chess's throwing up incident recently versus Calico, Cal kind of immediately had a round to counteract that. Very similar in that aspect, and then to do that to a Tay-Rock of his level, Summer Madness. And I think in terms of maybe some of his flaws is that he can get a little bit too jokey, and that's one thing about comedic battlers. Jokes definitely eventually, you're gonna look like, haha, okay, where's the bars? If the fans, comedy is good, but if the fans are asking in the moment, like, okay, that was funny, but where's the bars? That could be a problem. And when he did have a slight slump in his career after he lost the chain in battles versus like Big K, really Charlie Clips, everything.
DNA.
Yeah, he became a little bit unorganized, even though I think his third round versus DNA is really fire. But even versus Clips of Big K, he had moments where he was fire. He's one of the better battlers really of all time. But he gets to a point with angling where he gets a little bit aimless, kind of gets on the more rambly side. And you could just sense like, all right, what the hell is Pat really talking about right now?
Right.
And there have been clips in time in his career where that's been possible. Also, Pat's Day versus Cage Shine, God bless him and Pat's family around the time. I know he's going through a lot, but little performances like that, and he said stuff like that for other latter performances in his career where it might be outside of the ring stuff, but we can only judge off the performance given. And sometimes it can seem a little bit disorganized, but he's a very, very elite angler, and him being 5 at this list more is about the guys in the top 4 doing just amazing things rather than it really is about the flaws of Pat.
But yeah, no, but all in all, I do think he's a really good angler because he not only knows how to break down his opponent, but he also knows how to, make light of a situation, what I'm saying, and approach a certain situation.
Also versus Danny Myers, we forgot to mention that. That's just one of the biggest highlights there to go with the pure puncher and kind of not diffuse it because Danny was great that battle too, but people walk away remembering his substance, his kind of comedic yet very hard-hitting haymaker approach to an angle that we've heard a million times over.
Yeah.
So a lot of praise for that.
Yeah. And at number 4, this may also be controversial, but we don't care because it's our list. You can make your own list. At number 4, we have, and this is actually somebody, JSmo had to argue to get on the list, and after this conversation, we ended up agreeing a little bit. At number 4, we have none other than Hollow the Don. Where to start, man? I mean, Hollow's already all-time great, one of the best pound for pound battlers of all time. But when it comes to knowing how to approach a battle, and when it comes to getting into the opponent's head before the battle even starts, he's great at that. When it comes to knowing how to break down his opponent, and then one thing that we talked about off camera is that he gets the praise for breaking down his opponent so much to where if he does a small thing in a battle, they would attribute that to him breaking down his opponent. But his ability to neutralize and diffuse so many situations because he knows how to approach a certain battler, or what topics to touch on and what not to touch on, or how to critique a certain battler in a certain way, namely, the Clips battle, even the the Lux battle where it's a circus act just to go through a fire round, all the extra stuff that Lux brings to the battle, or the critique of Lux's delivery in the second round, or him doing his counter argument to Lux's third for Cal in his battle against Lux. He is just a master of knowing how to manipulate / take matters into his own hands when it comes to a certain situation, when it comes to a certain topic, or when it comes to touching on certain stuff. His approaches are very fresh, very very unorthodox, and also very unique. And I think when it comes to angles or whatever, it's one thing to know, I think the ability to know how to touch on a certain angle in a different way is good, but to come up with a fresh angle and a fresh approach is even that much better. And I feel like when we talk about Hollow, he always finds a way to come up with a fresh angle and a fresh approach. So what do you have to say about Hollow?
As someone that, like you said, kind of argued for Hollow to be on here, I think that a lot of the times when people name Hollow's strengths, one word that I hear a lot is witty. And witty, and and kind of some of his in-between lines, some of the way that he jabs you to death, not exactly haymakers, but realistically to me, when you look at some of the real highlights of Hollow's career, it pretty much all is within angles versus Loaded Lux. Obviously, the PS don't rush your delivery. Just because you don't know what he's saying doesn't mean it's nice. That's one of the best battles ever, and those are some of the the bigger moments that he had in there. Also, the clown, all this to watch
It's a circus act.
fire around.
Yeah.
It's 3 rounds of Angles versus Clips. That whole battle really is remembered as the Kit Kat battle. His style breakdown, specifically the way that he tries to get at people and break down their styles, is a strong suit. Versus Sue Surf, he was one of the first to touch up on the Michigan. Trying to play Chris Webber, forgetting about that time out
in Michigan. Crazy.
Oh man, I could really go on and on naming some of that, and even most recently versus Ichi Gotti, I think that his every fucking card, that even was one of the more creative spots he had in battle.
Or not to really make too much light on it, or when he says like how like he kind of dramatizes like how many of the people around him like passes away. He says it's me minus 2 people or whatever. Just like small stuff like that is kind of like, you know, very, very witty, as you mentioned. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but he's to me, you know, I think angling and style breakdown approach has always been really the number one factor to me. I think the only issue, and this is just something I feel about his style in general, is that within angles, any of it, he just has the chance to miss at something. Hollow is very out there and has some aspects that some of us would call grind timey, and if that's just not a particular, you know, type of rapper or style that you're that into, it can not only be a little bit of a miss for you, it can be a miss. Right. So he has the capabilities of, you know, having that big pendulum kind of swing depending on how you receive it. But regardless, I think since you know, him being an all-time great, and probably maybe 3 out of his top 5, maybe 4 or 5 out of his top 5 moments or performances, rounds, come from angling. I just think he's someone that's underrated when it comes to this particular thing, and I think that angling is what got Hollow to where he is now. So I think that's why we have Hollow number 4.
And similar to him and Pat Stay, like their ability to infuse comedy in their raps too. Like even the angle he had, I love, like, and again, this was when I was a huge Big T fan, but like even when I watch him versus Big T, like he got a grease stain on the H on his keyboard. You even did the palm fist. That's the Dawn shit. Like even stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And you mentioned like the surf battle, right? Him touching on the Michigan situation. You know, I think Hollow
in one of the first Swear to God games. I mean, I don't think it's the first, but definitely one of those. So he's always been one to use creative concepts to kind of touch on situations that you know, that are angles. Yeah,
that, and then you know what I'm saying, like even just his ability to like make light of situations. And one of your favorite rounds that I think you forgot to mention was his third round against Tay-Rock, which was very, very original, and the idea of like everybody pretending to be tough and you know, just the importance of being true to yourself and doing the right thing with the whole, you know, I hopped out the thing and I shot the fair one, like that like even stuff like that is just really organic. And really,
I had to get, sometimes you have to like get up to make a change or was something of that nature. So he's always, I think, more so over the wittiness, been a topic based battle rapper. It's when he shined the most. Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's Hollow at 4, and at number 3, it seems that, like, you know, it's crazy to think that like the first 3 we have are like all legends, and the reason why they are legends is because they have the angling aspect. Because at the end of the day, I feel like being able to construct rounds for your opponent is just like a centerpiece of battle rap. But at number 3, we have none other than Loaded Lux. Loaded Lux made the top 5 for the Pens list, but he's also going to make top 3 in anglers. And we're going to tell you why. When we think of anglers in battle rap, or angles in battle rap, I mentioned Averb's third round against Hitman, but we also like synonymously talk about like Lux's third round against Calico. Like that's probably one of the better, like that transcended battle rap. So that goes without saying. And his 3 rounds versus Hollow, I mean, just breaking down Hollow, even though that's a close battle and they both broke each other down, I think that both of them were extremely effective in doing that. Even though people will say like Hollow broke down Clips first, I still think that Lux did a really good job in dismantling the character of Clips in that battle too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and while I did say the battle between him and Surf was underwhelming in terms of like the overall product that we got, and also the I would have liked for Lux to be a little bit more bar heavy in that battle. I do think some of the approaches that he took in the Surf battle, even in recent day, was, you know, solid approaches and stuff like that. The Averb battle, he had a couple approaches that were good, you know, in terms of like just saying relative to, you know, other legends where Averb stacks and stuff like that. But all in all, I think that Lux makes this list and makes 3 because like the angles that he did land that were monumental were extremely monumental and still you know, created a shift or a rift in the culture, or not rift, a shift or a wave in the culture where everybody started to do these deep third rounds and stuff like that. Because I know now, like people are saying, oh, Gotti is the reason why like people do the deep third rounds. Nah, it was when Hitman did it against, you know, Hitman did it. I mean, when Verb did it against Hitman and when Lux did it against Cal. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's all I got to say about Lux at that spot. What do you have to say about Lux?
You know, feel very similar to you. And since we went over Lux earlier, you know, in this series, in the Pens video, I think a lot of that just applies to the angling. But he's, you know, he's very surgical with his angles. And I think one great thing about Lux is that he does tend to pick out some very unique angles. And just executes, really harps on it well. I think his imagery, you know, he's able to really paint it out. You know, we talk about versus Cal. Why wasn't your dad flying planes in the friendly skies, and kind of painted out even that little bit of silliness? It gives you almost like a little comic like narrative. You know what I'm saying? Square by square, you're seeing everything that he wants you to see. And I think the only thing that holds him down here at 3, because at his peak, you know, we talk about it like his third versus Cal. You know, we might be talking about maybe the best angler ever, but
expensive
body of work.
Yep.
Body of work. It's just, you know, and it's the same way, you know, I really don't do this often, but I am a humongous basketball fan. I do like to look at, when you look at the contributions of a Lux, the way you kind of look at the contributions of a Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain in that sport, where it's just, there is being the innovator and being first, there's a lot, but back then they didn't have as many teams to play against. And that really, in a sense, works the same way kind of with the amount of battlers that came obviously after Lux's era. And I don't blame the man for coming out once a year. You know, gets him paid the right way. It's helped his brand, but particularly in the aspects of battle rap, that leaves a lot on the table. And I just think that there's a few battlers that just would like to see him further his resume, and if the angling would stick across even just a 15 to 20 battle resume, then against all top tier comp, because that's who he would most likely be battling, now you have more of a conversation. But when we're talking about really around a 10 battle catalog, the 2 guys that we have above him just happen to have really matched him in moments and just had more diverse competition. And just, you know, it's hard to say gave more to the game. It's really up for preference, because Lux's impact is thorough. It might never be overtopped, but we just think in terms of actual catalog, there's some guys that have just got a little bit more out there. So for pure angling, like we said, not really a lot to pick apart for him, but like we did with every other list, we have to be fair, and there's just not enough to work to beat some other almost perfect anglers that have just done a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's funny because him even making 3, right, is still an accomplishment, because in any other situation, because like we really, really value body of work. And his body of work compared to Hollow, compared to Pat Stay, is nowhere near the same, but it's the proficiency and the effectiveness of that small like body of work that he did deliver that's kind of what pushed him above. Because in any other list, he would probably be 5th or honorable mention, but in terms of angling, the stuff that he was able to get off and land was just so monumental. And honestly, him and Hollow are very close. It just came down to certain nitpicky things that kind of placed Lux over Hollow. Now we're at the runner-up, number 2. At number 2, do you want to announce it, or you can announce it? I'll let you know.
I'm definitely down.
You did a whole video over the guy, so I kind of want you to do your thing.
Yeah, there's also I want to get into the controversy of it, possible controversy just because of recent times.
Yeah.
At number 2, we do have T-Top, Busy the Bear, and I know with we could even say the last recent year, specifically in the angling category. T-Top has hurt himself a little bit. I know a lot of the talk of the town right now is T-Top taking low-hanging fruit kind of his angles, taking some really obscure angles. The one about Swamp, about him doing some gay stuff and this and that. It was just strange. It seems like it kind of came out of nowhere. It was really almost seemed like a bunch of gossip and a bunch of nothing. So as of recent, I understand that T-Top is kind of moving himself back. And if he continues along this road, if we had to remake this list and this is continuing, there is a chance he would drop maybe to 3 or 4. But as of right now, something I still value is that I have not forgotten T-Top's prime and a lot of the moments that he's given us, and that he came in this game, although a street talker, he pivoted right from that to becoming really a full-time angler. And whether it's the third versus Rum Nitty, whether it's the stealing angle versus Av, the approach that he had to Sioux Surf, the multiple different angles he had for Sioux Surf, and somehow one of his more underrated performances, because I think the battle kind of gets more talked about for Surf's choking than it does, at the time. I remember him talking about gun titles and how Rock gave you life like it was your third offense.
Oh my goodness.
You were broken down, started to move the rock. You broke it down and started using the rock. And I think that even to this day, nobody has really came back and given that that same angle, and somebody might want to come back and touch on that, because that would be a great angle considering how good gun titles has gotten. I think people would be receptive to that nowadays, but just goes to show he used to be really great at picking the right angle. And I can't forget that. We're talking about a guy that, in terms of the peaks of his career, it's angling, the breakdancing versus JC. He's just always, even though now we're at a point in time where people are saying all he picks is low-hanging fruit, to me, I don't know if anyone has picked as many creative anglers outside of our number 1 spot, because I got a lot of praise for that guy too. But outside of our number 1 spot, I don't know if there's any guys with as extensive a body of work against top tiers that has just picked creative angle after creative angle. So that's why,
or revamped the angle that's been used before, but did it creatively. So yeah,
definitely. And it also goes to show about imagery, and also something that I think is a part of angling is counter writing is elite. He might have the single best example of counter writing in the history of battle rap. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, as someone that loves his woman very much, I've been with my woman for a minute. That's if somebody was to pull that out on you in the first round, even maybe mama. So it's a little bit different, but it's someone. It's some guys that don't know how to respond to that. It will be a freak. Like, what the hell? His counter writing to not just take the last two rounds of the battle clear, but take it like dominantly and kind of damn near get a 2-1 body after somebody pulls out something like that on you in the first round. And that's if people believe in a 2-1 body, but very dominant win. And it just goes to show counter writing, angling, all of it.
And then the haymaker with you mad because my child look like mine, and everybody about her up say your child look like, and Sean is right in the man, like that was so surgical. Matthew, you should have seen how they had you. He said, "Don't get mad, fool." I was acting like I was there too. like
he used his comedy very well to his advantage. Also, like a Hollow or Pat Stay, like shit. They even stole Briz. Like he definitely mastered that. And also, while we're naming Ikichi Gotti as well, we could damn near name the whole catalog. Man, he's just picked a lot of creative angles. So, like we said, there's the slump right now. And we understand that, but definitely a guy deserving of his placement on this list. Yeah, and I also think of, what I'm saying, even like, because I know like this was like the last battle before he got into that little thing where people were saying like, oh, he's starting to do like weird angles and stuff like that. But the B-Dot battle, I felt like people were kind of receptive to it, even though I know like he kind of rehashed like the angle that Saga had for B-Dot. But I do think that like he was able to like take it and like run with it a little bit further. You know what I'm saying?
and all that, whatever, in that first round. So I do think that was a good example. And then, like, I feel like the last major angle he was able to land was the Mike P in the Mike P battle. You know what I'm saying? Who the F is y'all? Like that situation, you know, but yeah, when you think of prominent anglers, when you think of people that know how to break down their opponent or just make a moment out of an angle, because it's one thing to know how to break down your opponent, but if you can consistently make moments out of certain angles, that just goes to show you like how, you know, creative you are and stuff like that.
That's what acting so tough gets. You could have amounted to something. Every battle you've done since has been counterproductive. You went from the highest paid battler to rapping for practically nothing. You turned your road to success into a path of destruction.
Cool. Well, off the head, man. He just creeping up to you like some type of obsessed fan. He's right the fuck there. This dude's still your friend? Damn. If that was me, Zombie would be a walking dead man.
He got an 11's coming. Figured he learned a lesson from it. Maybe all your opponents pulling out last minute were trying to tell you something.
But since his man gave him the charge, he's been on the low, dodging imprisonment, hoping it gets better playing Chris Webber, trying to forget about that time out in Michigan. It ain't all about the punch in your memory. I mean, we like the way you structure your similes, but sometimes you run through them literally. We fuck with your energy, but we question abilities. Oh, what I'm trying to tell you, P.S., don't rush your delivery. Had to get a 9 to 5. So how I feel to look into your mama's eyes and tell her you can't make your talents monetize. That's because he got no hustle outside of this. I mean, all I see is this nigga complain. I'm like, life don't come with a remote. You gotta get up and change. At first,
he had to do to put food on y'all plate to dine. You mean to tell me all that slanging and banging was to give y'all greater lives when God gave them drive? And that big meat's back up singing ass nigga left your moms out here alone for the latest ride? That don't break your mind?
You sign major ass deals, but good still gotta help you and drive you to all your press events. And all he got this chauffeur is a bottle of that brown drink. Half a gallon goods ain't even got a half a gallon in the tank.
Activity with results. You making money don't make you a man. You can have millions and your spirit be broke. But niggas will know when this same old crip you niggas thought was Rainbow Six turns out to be Tekashi at the end of the road.
Sing how they had you.
Why you getting mad, fool? Why you getting mad, fool? Shit, I was bobbing and weaving like I was there too. I was here. Supposed to battle Tez tonight. You even stole this. Well, I ain't gonna rap about how he stole that or stole this, cause Ross thinks, hey man, this nigga even stole Breeze. He like, this can't be love. One time he forgot to put the wet sign down and he see somebody granny stuck. That's what he meant when he said he'll MOP your nigga anti-yo.
And we are back to deliver the number one angler that we have on our list. I'm not going to say it's clear cut, but in the past couple of years, he went from being a potential best angler of all time to being the best angler of all time. And it's crazy because in every other list, we've really talked about body of work, whatever. And his body of work is not that expansive, but every time he battles, it's angle after angle after angle that make us go
multiple angles per battle.
Yeah, and it make us go like, what the hell? How did he come up with that? Or like, huh? Like, that's incredible. We're talking about B-Dot. Mr. Rooftop Dot, Mr. Elevate, Mr. Black African Power. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know where to start with B-Dot, man. For one, he has one of my favorite battles of all time with him and Saga. The dialogue between those two alone is just transcends battle rap. Just the angles.
Also had a very similar dialogue in his third round versus JC, not technically with Christianity, but
right.
The man just produces versus Loso versus Danny just produces very in-depth conversation after in-depth conversation where it really just kind of transcends just the level of battle rap, and it's just great historical and somewhat educational debate sometimes to watch him go after, and he brings that out of his opponents.
Yes, whether it's him constructing the story about T-Top in the third, about like, you know, his mom's situation, him carrying T-Top in the womb and how she may have had to turn to drugs because of a certain situation. And then now you're perpetuating her lifestyle into, man, I just be so like the third round against Holmesy where, you know, what's tough having to deal with this and this and kind of like, while he did break down the whole mental health thing, which I'm not really all for, but like when he attacks that, but he also prefaced it by saying, I'm going through the same thing too. You know what's tough going through this and this. Even in the battle versus Chilla Jones, which I have Chilla winning, and we talked about how we love the God complex scheme / angle approach that he used. If you really listen to like the whole, what's the point of being the kingpin if you're not like defending the kingdom that he had in the third round or whatever, the idea of like, you know, a black man like really wanting to be like the face of a white league and stuff like that in the third round. You know, the approaches that he have with Danny, you know what I'm saying? The approach that he had with Av and one of his more dominant performances against Av in that third round, which again can be hit or miss for some people because sometimes he touches on certain topics that like transcends battle rap, right? And if you have a certain ideology or a certain belief or whatever, you're not always going to be like very receptive to what he has to say, but the way he's able to construct it and like just the way he's able to convey his message and convey the story that he's trying to tell. His third round versus EK, like, come on now. Like his third round versus EK is,
and that wasn't even really an EK. That was a complete undressing of URL. The
PG process. Like, yeah, man. Like when we think of anglers and like Sue Surf gave him the nickname of like the tailor, knowing how to like construct certain things that properly fit his opponent. Yeah, I have no problem. Even with even though I would like for his, you know, body of work to be a little bit more expansive, I have no problem putting Beat at number one. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think specifically what you touched on versus Holmesy, he had the mental health angle, and versus Av, he kind of had like the vaccination angle, I believe. It, you know, kind of tied that into the mortality rate, I believe, of African Americans in the actual just public health system, which is really something that needed light shed on. I completely agree with him on that. But as someone that, you know, I'm not anti-vax, and I'm someone that is a humongous mental health advocate, as someone that's going to school for a psychological degree. So even though I really disagree with the premise with those two angles, he turned them very offensive and made them very attacking angles. And the way he constructed, like you said, and this is coming from someone that is saying, I genuinely don't agree with either of those angles. Right. But in terms of battle rap, his rapping ability and the way he structures it, he is able to really use that to attack his opponents. And then there's a bunch of angles, which I do agree with, because at the end of the day, he's probably the best angle picker in battle rap history. Consistently just picks out 2 to 3 angles damn near every battle, maybe even more. There's some matter that he just uses as just like quick subject bars. Angle punching, if you will. That, you know, the man's on a completely different level. I remember when we first saw him, he drew a lot of Lux comparisons for it, but I still think that now he's even found a more unique way to carve into his own flow, his own cadences. I think the cadence is really what was similar back then, and I think he's even made his separation there to be his own unique style. And just picking multiple, like we said, a lot of these guys, when we have to have a moment, this is a guy that picks 3 or 4 good angles to battle. It's a complete different, it's a generational from the standpoint of angling. And if there is any weakness, I will say that he's having trouble sometimes transferring how kind of godly he is, because I really can't find a better term, but he's fantastic in the small room, and he's having troubles finding the way to translate that to the big stage, gets frustrated with the crowd easily, and that's kind of all around stuff. But besides him not being able to portray that on the big and small stage the same, it's really perfect as an angler, man. That's why, you know, we agreed putting him as number 1 as the best angler of all time, even with being kind of a newer talent.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's just like, again, like the reason why we have him at number 1 is because not only are his angles concise and like literally tailored for his opponent, or sometimes not, but like the underlying theme of some of his rounds and the underlying theme of his message just transcends battle rap. Like, and I think that's very important when you can talk to and through your opponent. That's amazing.
They gave you a book of stories about men of glory and you bought this shit, right? Well, why is there no female deity supporting your Christ? You know, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You may not hear it, but your daughters just might. Oh, nigga, we gonna have white Aztecs and the Hispanics. I mean, Los Angeles used to be Mexico. We probably battled it out on the same spot where we standing, so you got to get shot with the cannon. I gotta do you, send a shot into you. This is black love, brown pride. Shaka Zulu meets Montezuma. It wouldn't be biblical threats. You wanna get physical? Bet. I hit the gun store, cop 2 new burners, an identical set. I figure since every Bible you've read has been a translated duplicate, then you should get some original text. I'm getting it straight. West, we started gangster rap. I'm gonna need our thanks for that. Yeah, I know the East started battle rap, cool, we not claiming that. But if URL is about gang banging, slinging, crack, and banging straps with him, bitch, LA is where it should be stationed at. Came in this game like a boss. After my first couple battles, I knew my worth and where my stock was at, and that ain't stopped for smack. I told them no PGs, went on that league and conquered that. None of you niggas can do what I've done. I'm even bringing zombies back. Look how I woke up the dead with these conscious raps. While you...
But that is our list for top 5 anglers. The next top 5 that we'll do is none other than top 5 freestylers. So we appreciate you guys watching this video, and we'll see you guys soon.